A Call to Spiritual Growth. This is not what this is titled, but this is the header of what I'll be reading, which is going to be Hebrews, the 5th chapter. And the point is in the 12th verse, but I'll start at the 11th. It says, "Of whom we have many things to say, and hard to be uttered, seeing ye are dull of hearing. For when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai, and are become such as have need of milk, and not of strong meat. Kahalam la Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Waha Wahahudash." Double honors to the whole field like elder apostles. Slate to be saved, Lord willing, start with those at the Great Millstone Church, on down to the rest that's out here under this doctrine, onward to the men here, the brothers here, in the order, in all true faith and sincerity, give it diligence, shalom, and to the rest of you, Akim, my Akim, the elder Akim teaching also, on down to younger Akim teaching also, in all true faith and sincerity, shalom, to the rest of you believers, men, women, and children, and on this faith of Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shai also, shalom. All right, ultimately to the elect, those is about to be found, going to be found to be of the house of David. So, yeah, the point was in verse 12, for when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one, I'll start back at 11. It says, "Of whom we have many things to say and hard to be uttered, seeing ye are dull of hearing." So the header of this in the blue letters you see is a call to spiritual growth. And if you may not be looking at the screen for whatever reason, that's what it's headed as, starting at the 11th verse. A call to spiritual growth. And reading the verse one more time, it says, "Of whom we have many things to say and hard to be uttered, seeing ye are dull of hearing." There's certain things you're not meaning, certain things you're not necessarily able to speak on or explain, or certain technical difficulties when it comes to trying to conversate, or convey a message to certain brothers or shed light on certain things because they're not, sharp as they can be at that point. So this is what this is speaking to. And with that being understood, it's a call for spiritual growth, but more so in what I'm explaining now, my point will be for those that may be the ones that's noticing that, as far as, or trying to stay responsible in that regard. That we have to spiritually grow as well. It's a call for spiritual growth for everybody. What brothers is able to hear and not able to hear, and that there's a true development process that takes place, in this truth, especially for those that go on and try to teach, that's going to go on and teach, that was called to go on and teach. We have to understand there is a development process that takes place. So you don't just jump from first being called to do that, and then just overnight you dealing with that the brother just becomes that. He just becomes that teacher, that one that's able to hear that. He becomes this person that's able to hear all these things. This is not how that go. And if you not considering these things, you just to have something to say for everybody, including myself, you need to spiritually grow. But the point more so, as written here, is my point more so, and as even written here, is on, the younger men, those that need the development. It says they're dull of hearing. They're dull of hearing. And that's exactly why when you come in, it's scriptures you get, you're brought in up on certain scriptures, brought in on what, into what, in where? In the presence of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, into the truth and into the process to be able to develop and get the whole role. You know, that's what's supposed that's what you are to come into. And once again, you're brought into all of that through certain scriptures, man. You know? And if and you can't expect to give you anything else, you're never no one. If you notice, you should notice the trend. No one else is giving anything else besides those premier scriptures, those initial scriptures. When somebody first walk up and they hear this truth, what is brought out? The way that you come into this.
Please proceed to the highlighted route. Then the route guidance will start.
So yeah, you're it's premier scriptures that come out, man. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and read and that's the way, that's the basis in which you can go on and hear all the other things, to fully get the truth, to fully come into the presence of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, to dwell in the counsel of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. You have to first hear the things that you must hear and understand and be equipped with to be able to properly be in that counsel, to understand that counsel, to not offend in that counsel, to not stumble in that counsel. All right, so I'm going to read verse 12. For when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again. Let me read 11 again. Of whom we have many things to say, talking about Yahweh Shai, really going into, the totality, really the totality of the word, which Yahweh Shai is, man. The fullness of the word. The fullness of the word, this word, spiritually, physically, it goes on to become a physical too, which is, seen in Yahweh Shai. He is the fullness of the word. He is the volume of the book. It says, and hard to be uttered, seeing ye are dull of hearing. Before we can get into those things, you can master and truly be able to, if you will, be on a level to speak like that or say like that. Not saying I'm on a level or, or anything. Obviously the Lord put it, we ain't no damn peons. But I'm not saying, toot my own horn or something like that. But before you can even get to that point, it's acknowledging what I just pointed out again. So it says, seeing ye hard to be uttered, seeing ye are dull of hearing. Yeah, certain things you just wouldn't believe at certain points. And that's when you're dull of hearing. And when you're dull of hearing, it says, for when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again. See that? Which really kind of go into another thing, because the other point stops there. But it says, for when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles. See, the first principles, and I want to get that word principles, of the oracles of the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And those oracles is dealing with the prophets, right? Navigating, okay? The navigators, the way to get through this thing, and getting through this thing is ultimately getting through the world. But you got to be able to get through the word first. And it's methods, it's steps, it's scriptures you must hear and be equipped with to be able to properly do that. And you have to take that serious. Because if you don't take that serious, you won't be able to do that. It says, and are become such as have need of milk and not of meat. You see, and not of strong meat. Salakia. So what we're going to do is now, Salakia.
Strong's G 4747 Stoichion.
Stoichion. Kind of going into stoicism. But anyway, it says, any first thing from which the others belonging to some series. You see, any first thing. First things first. Who are you? Where do you go to show a brother that? This is why the so-called Christians, these heathens, they come up and they try to act like our doctrine is just our doctrine. No, our doctrine is the doctrine. It's the doctrine of the heavens. It's the doctrine of the Bible. You people just don't have the spirit, and you didn't go through the proper. You haven't gone through the proper development process to be able to understand that and know that. You know, so as an Israelite, it's gonna be there for you, and it's gonna be there for them too. You know, but it's gonna be in a different way. You know, but it's a way that it's the initial things, first things you must first hear in order to get everything else we're gonna go on and say. Like how the Hawashai didn't come for everybody. How the Lord's people is his people. It's the Israelites. They're chosen above all people. Everybody else is said to be under them. Hawashai is not coming back for, you know, so for instance, first things first would be, what's your nationality? Because why? You will be able, without, you know, we make it about the nationality. These are just quick instances, examples. We make it about the nationality first because in the Bible, the Lord has a judgment written to all nations. And by nations, I mean races. So we're actually asking you, what's your race? What's your ethnicity? Do you know? No matter what your ethnicity may be. On your father's side, what is your ethnicity? So you can go on and understand the different instances that's going to be, that the different nations, which we're going to point out to you, which the Lord is pointing out, because the Lord's pointing that out to us in the Bible, you know, will find themselves in. For instance, so-called white people going into slavery. All so-called all non-Israelites going into slavery ultimately. That's why we asked you that initially. And then if you are an Israelite, well, okay, you're going to find yourself in a different instance. And then even amongst the other people that's getting ready to go into slavery, that even differs. It's even different. They're going to be in different instances regarding that, because Esau's the only nation that's written to not get any mercy. He gonna be eradicated. That the race of the so-called white people will be eradicated, and the rest they will learn under us. Period. And notice I said under. So first, for you to understand that, that's why before we will even say something like that, we will take you to showing you, okay, asking you who you are, and then showing you the reason that matters, because from what I explained, and then we will show you how it's true for first thing, for instance, Deuteronomy 7:6. You know, the Lord put us above all people. Okay? The Lord's people being all Israel. Deuteronomy 1:1. So those are first things first. You know? We're above all people upon the face of the earth, man. See? So you can go on and understand later if a statement comes up like, you people gonna be beneath us. Well, that will stand in continuity with what everything else. Someone that knows what they're, you know, will be for someone that knows of what they're talking about. You know, as far as the Bible, as far as what the Heavenly Father will is it would say or mean. You know, 'cause I ain't trying to be all, you know, deep and long-winded with this. The whole point is, man, these are instances on first things first, examples of first things first, of the first principles, man. Because we can't even talk nothing else after that. We can't even talk nothing else without you getting the first things first. So it's a development, man. And you got brothers that come in and got that development, but don't take it serious, man. You know? And you know, but let me, you know, I'm saying now, brothers, they haven't even mastered those things. They haven't even mastered the milk. But yet you going into all this other stuff. And now when it comes to time for you to be able to, like, you really couldn't even stand at the gate and bring somebody in properly if you can't explain how, you know, really masterfully. You can't show someone these things, man. You can't show nobody the differentiation. You can't show anybody how the Lord didn't come for everybody, how the Lord's people is only his people, how, and no one else can sin, because the law is only given to the Israelites. You know, from the rooter to the tutor, from the beginning to the end. If you can't do that with those same initial scripts that you was given, those initiating, you know, that's you being initiated in this. If you're not able to bring those out and deal like that with the way you was dealt with, but you dealing with other things, it's because you didn't take that serious. It ain't no other way to come into this. There's no other way for people to get it. You teach what was taught, man. You know, brothers ain't even been in 2 years or barely 2 years, and you can, you know, and you trying to do all this other stuff, and then if you're gonna go into it, you find yourself, which ain't nothing wrong with you just gotta work at it. But it's something wrong with it if the reason why you're not good at it is because you didn't take those things serious, or you trying to do something else, you trying to reinvent the wheel, you trying to do too much. You just not simply trying to teach it. Like, you gotta think, well, how did I come into this? How did this really, that's it. This is how the Lord gotta go it, man. This method of teaching cannot be broken. It's sound doctrine. But see, the scripture said, the prophecy said that it was gonna come a time where people was gonna, you know, that supposedly believed they wasn't gonna be able to endure that sound doctrine. You know? We ask you to prove, you know, the Lord's chosen people. Everybody should go to the same things for the most part, man. Some gonna be more expansive, some, you know, and that just comes from the time they've been in. But initially, everybody knows this, that came into this, and it was initiated in the spirit into the ministry of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai. They're gonna bring the same thing out, man, because there's only one way for you to get it, and it cut hard every time. And you gotta get those things, those particular scriptures, because those are the first things first. Those are the first principles, man. But anyway, it says from which the others reading on in the outline, pretty much the meaning of this word, principles in the Greek. Okay, it says belonging to some series, which I'll play again because I was talking.
Strong's G 4747 Stoichaion.
It says from which the others belonging to some series or composite whole take their rise and element, first principle. You see, it says from which the others belonging to some series. You know, the first principles belong to the rest of this is a series, and you got to get the first. It's like when you're watching this series, I'm not gonna show you episode 17. I'm gonna give you episode 1. If you're gonna really know the series, you have to have seen the first episodes, and it just go in that order. The first episodes is the first principle, how it all started, how you get here. You can't understand the last episode without understanding the first, and that's why people stumble at the Bible, man. That's why people think our doctrine is just something we made up, because they never got the first principles. Because one, it ain't given to everybody to teach. So why would they get the first principles development, the development process, you know, of those that's going to teach the will of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai if they're not an Israelite? We the only ones that got it. But see, we haven't been the one that's been, because we fell away. We discontinued from our heritage. So in that, and now we just been in the process of getting it back through the Spirit. The Lord is just, this is a literal community thing, man. We waking up amongst ourselves, and everybody else is starting to see that. Okay, what are these black people doing? They're not black. What are the Israelites doing? Because most people been news Israelites. Everybody know. And now we waking up to that. But the reason why, like I said, these people don't know is because the Lord ain't giving them the first principles. Because the teachers is only to come out of the Israel. The Lord's going to declare, matter of fact, let me get that. So just quick scripture, this is Isaiah 43:21. This people have I formed for myself. Who is this talking about? This talking about Israel. When you jump up to verse 1, but now thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shai that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. All right. I'm going to jump down back to where I was just reading. All right. First things first, right? It says 21. This people have I formed for myself, that they shall shoot forth my praise. See that? So the Lord is telling us that nobody else is supposed to be declaring this word. And when you go to Isaiah, when you go to Psalms, the 50th chapter, you jump down to the 16th verse, and it's another one I'm thinking of too, but I'm not here for that. This is, it says, verse 16, but unto the wicked the Most High said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? So no one else has been given jurisdiction to declare, shoot forth, or teach, the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. So this is why this is one reason why these people, they don't know the first principles, and that's why they think our doctrine is our doctrine, and they don't know what's going on. And since we're the ones to actually be the ones to teach us so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, but due to us falling off, we not doing that. No one else knows. No one else is being. The Bible's not being taught like that. The Bible not being taught at all. The Bible just being talked about and used. It ain't really being taught. Because the people that's set up, that's created to teach it, is completely out of order right now. 2/3. All right, and you got the rest that's gonna come in and help fulfill our true lot on this earth before this world is destroyed. They gotta wake up. They're about to come in. But more so back to my point. This is going back to that word first principles, which is what we do. We give you the first principles, because if you don't get the first things first, we gonna give you the first episode. You ain't gonna get the last episode. Last episode being things like Revelation, meaning things like how people don't know, they talking about the last episode when they talking about so-called Jesus Christ coming back. But what did Jesus Christ come for in the first place? Well, that's told to you in the first principles. What's his whole story? What's his whole background? What's all of that, man? So you got men that are taught that it's your inheritance to learn these things, and you learn it, and that's how you come in and get it, but you don't take that stage of your development, which you don't just supposed to hear when you come in, but okay, I get it. No, you're supposed to study those things, master those things. That's the first things first. The first things you hear, then that's supposed to be your development in this thing. But see, some men, goddamn sake, man. Some men don't take that stage in their development serious. They want to start going into other stuff, things that don't have nothing to do with them getting to the next point. Developing to the next point. But instead the things is after they develop to the next point. They want to deal with that, which is crazy. And that's why you got some that end up choking the word. But it says, so the next point is, that's pretty much it. I ain't got to try to get all of it, Fundamental principles is indeed of any art, science, or discipline. See, this is an art, this is a science, and it's a discipline. And you have to stay disciplined with trying to initiate somebody or trying to open somebody up to the true doctrine. How do you open somebody up to the true doctrine? With the first principles. What's your nationality? The Deuteronomy 1, Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26. These things. Deuteronomy 4. Psalms 147. And 19 through 20. Then you got other things you can, once you see it, you can just add on, or, ultimately get Jeremiah 17 and 9, discontinue from our heritage. These things. Amos 3, the Lord only knows Israel. You ain't got to try to do extra things. especially when you ain't even mastered the first principles. If you're not masterful, if you a teacher, you developing in a lot of teaching, and you ain't mastered how to go about those first principles, those initiators, those let me give you the, boom. Genesis 25, Esau and Jacob. You shouldn't be dealing with nothing else if you can't move like that. Okay? So that's heavy, man. It says a row in the Thayer's Greek lexicon series, hence properly that which belongs to, so yeah, that's basically it, man. Okay? So I'm gonna jump back to the scripture, because that's all I'm here for. This is verse 12. It says, "For when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the Most High, the first principles of the oracles of the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua." Yeah, if you're going to be an oracle or a medium, if you will, and you brothers, especially here, you trying to go into things that you ain't never really got taught, or you ain't never asked. I don't remember brothers asking these particular things. I'm gonna just keep it real. We here to learn the Bible. It's not a goddamn show. We the main one. We really learning this on camera and developing on camera. This for us. This is not a show. Brothers are here to learn the Bible, to master the Bible. That's really what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to master the Bible, to be saved chiefly. Through if I master the Bible. We're here to strive for the masteries, right? This is my whole duty is to keep the command, man. But I gotta get and grasp the command first and foremost. Okay, so what was I about to get? Get that word, oracles, in the Greek.
Strong's G 3051. Logion.
Yeah, those that's been given utterance, because the word right here is utterance. A brief utterance. See, the word or utterances of God. Who utters? The prophets. See that? So that's what this talking about. I'm not gonna go into all of that. Not here for that. So that's what the teachers. So is when you're going into certain lessons, you're dealing with the law. Do we got to keep the law? Those are dangerous things. You could choke on that. It's men that don't even get that. That's really heavy, because you're trying to use Paul's scriptures to explain how we're not justified by the law, but you end up saying we don't got to keep the law, but we do got to keep the law because we got to try to keep the law. That's a dangerous game to play, So you got to get the first principles of all these subjects, of every subject, And this was inspired through a video that came out, a brother did. And I really already had this on my spirit to do. And this is done further now. So when you getting ready to do lessons like that, you need to make sure you got the first things first. You need to hit the brother up, hit me up, hit whoever up, right? Hit me up, all right? And make sure you got it right. Ain't no reinventing the wheel. You here to learn the Bible, period. There's not no get on the camera and wing and shit. The Lord is not moving with that, man. He's not dealing with that. You need to make sure, you prove him out. Make sure you got it right. Okay, I was going to use this, that. Is this correct? Is this, Then you can just be quiet and come out with some shit when you want to come, and then it be wrong as hell. And these things that I'm only addressing subjects that's dealing with things the brother's supposed to master, which is the first development, scriptures. The first principle things, man. Brothers can't even, simply bring out how to do the law for masterly, what is sin, is the Lord coming back, simply. You shouldn't be flipping all over the dang world trying to, and then you can't even make everything make sense. You're using all the right scriptures for the most part. Some unnecessary, but some you just, you're supposed to be laser sharp, because those was the first principles. So what's going on? It says, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. See? And that's the milk. It says, for everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. So if you still dealing in what you should be, you know, if you ain't masterfully can bring, maneuver through the milk, drink down the milk, hand out milk, you don't need to be handing out meat. How can you hand somebody a steak? You can't even hand them a glass of milk. How can you eat a steak if you can't even drink a glass of milk? You know? There ain't nothing wrong with it. This is the protocol. This is how it goes. But strong meat belonging to them that are of full age. And this is spiritually. It says, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. And I'm going to read this in the NLT, and a call all the way down from the 11th verse. A call to spiritual growth. There is much more we would like to say about this, but it is difficult to explain, especially since you are spiritually dull and don't seem to listen. And men don't be listening, man. Men, I want to do it how I want to, you know. The Lord not moving with that, man. You know, you're here to be built up, broken down and built up correctly. Straight Neo experience. Your eye's supposed to hurt. You know, your ears, you know. Why does my eyes hurt? Because you never used them before. You're not here, it's not a hangout. Don't use this truth like it's a hangout or something, man. Anyway, it says you have been believers so long now that you ought to be teaching others. Instead, you need someone to teach you again the basic things about God's word. See? You are like babies who need milk and cannot eat solid food. For someone who lives on milk is still an infant and doesn't know how to do what is right. You know? You don't know how many scriptures you need to bring out. You don't really know. You don't know if I need this many to prove it. You know, you're supposed to know. Now, if you do it, that's one thing, but if you're doing it and don't know, that's the issue. You know, that's winging it, even if you get it right. And this last verse, it says, solid food is for those who are mature, who through training have the skill to recognize the difference between right and wrong. Yeah, the right and wrong way to go about trying to, pretty much cut people on certain things or open somebody up to the true doctrine, the will of Yahweh Shema Shah. They're heathen. Not necessarily open them up to it. Well, in a sense, yeah, because we got to pour this out to everybody, but initially to initiating a Jake, a brother, you know what I'm saying, or even a sister. All right? So, you take this for what it's worth. The whole point of the message is you need to take these first principle scriptures that you heard, and master them. And when it comes to those subjects, you need to be teaching it how you was taught it. Teaching what was taught. And during the sound doctrine. Because you're trying to do it some other way, thinking you can wing it and make it work some other. It ain't going to work no other way. The symphony is the symphony. It's the same, stanza. It doesn't change, period. It looks the same for anybody that wants to do a karaoke of the song. It's like doing a karaoke song. The lyrics stay the same, man. Just a different voice if you're going to sing that song. Now, if you're going to be good at it, that's a whole nother thing. Sing it correctly, as the elder apostle Gabar like to bring out, man. And that's true. This song is a song we must sing and perform correctly. All right? So, hey, take this serious. You getting ready to do them lessons. You just make sure you got the first principles down before you even try to teach it. Period. And once you pass that point, you can deal with the meat. You know what I'm saying? But hey, call Yahweh Shema Shah. Shalom.